Welcome everybody to On Purpose Talk with Stanley
and Dandy.
Or
Stanley.
Dandy.
I did it right this time.
I like your shirt. Well, you want to show everybody your shirt?
Thank you. Yeah. I don't know if you guys can see it, but
there you go. That's cool. Look at you.
It's the On Purpose Talk.
Now, what size is that? Is that a medium?
It's a medium.
So that's how it fits you in the medium?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're going to try to sell some merch.
Yeah. If you guys want some.
Yeah. Let us know. And then we'll put them on the link for the merch. Let's get this rolling.
Yeah.
All right. It's been about 2 weeks now since our last post.
Yes, and this is our 15th episode.
15th episode. I think hope you guys are enjoying this journey with us and enjoying what we have to say, whether it's craziness or good stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But it's always fun. I feel like it's gotten hot just out of nowhere. It's a little way too hot.
It did.
I don't know. I just can't stand it right now. My skin feels like it's burning every time. But that's just me. How you doing over there?
Good. I like the heat, so.
You do?
I mean, I know I can tolerate it better than you.
No, I can't tolerate it.
That's for sure.
No, there's a certain degree that my house has to be, or else I can't sleep.
That's true.
Yeah, no, it's just too crazy. I don't know how people could do 80 degrees inside the house to sleep. I can't do that. Like, it's just too warm.
I know.
I wake up sweating. I'm in the wrong state for that.
I think so. And then the funny thing is that I used to like being hot in the night, and then now I'm the same way. Like, although I like the heat, in order for me to be able to sleep, it needs to be cold, and then I have to cover myself.
That's the best way. Number one, why sleep weird? And then you have covers, so I like covering myself, so it has to be cooler. What's weird is I can't sleep shirtless.
Right.
Just because my voice, like I remember because of the AC, and I would sleep shirtless, it would make my voice like hoarse for a gig. So I sleep with a shirt, even though I hate it, just because to protect my voice, which is kind of crazy to think that would affect my voice, but it would make it dry and make it just wouldn't be functioning. That's just the way it was.
Right.
But here comes the summer. Too bad we couldn't enjoy the last part of the little spring that we had.
I know. And
but everybody was in quarantine, everybody's indoors. But it seems like things are going to change for May. I hope for the sake of those who need to go back to work, or just people's sanity.
Yeah.
They're all cooped up.
Yeah, I mean, and the thing with that is that, there's a lot of people that's it. They're antsy to get out there and, work. And, I mean, it's understandable.
Yeah.
And then there's people that are really frightened and afraid. And did I just say frightened and afraid? Same thing.
Frightened and afraid. Yeah.
They're scared. I mean, and it's also understandable. So, I mean, I feel what we can do is just wash our hands, make sure we don't touch our face. I think it's like
it's got to be a normal precaution anyway.
Yeah.
Right? Something that we just practice as a society.
Yeah.
Be a little more clean. Be a little more clean in that sense. Be a little more proactive.
Just think of your hygiene and think about, just
more hygienic.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's good. Yeah. I mean, well, I'm curious to see how this is going to pan out, how this process changes our minds. I know for me, it has affected me in a different way psychologically. Thinking of a different way for me to be creative, other than depending on what I've depended up to this point, which has been live performances. I've kind of been thinking about another way, that gives me more power and more of a, leverage, like leverage.
Yeah.
No, it just gives me a little more leverage as to my income and all that stuff, so that when things like that happen, it doesn't affect me as hard. I don't know. Just it's been in my mind a little bit, because I think about artists nowadays. I'm just being on, just thinking my mind right now. I think about artists who maybe weren't performing, but their songs were still being heard. Mm-hmm. I mean, how many of you guys were sitting there listening to Apple Music, Spotify, Amazon Music, or Google Music, and nonstop?
Right.
Let alone just something like TikTok, for example, right? Mm-hmm. We've been getting into TikTok a lot. Just, it's entertaining, but what I've paid attention to is the music that everybody's putting behind those videos. They're making the money. Mm-hmm. The writers, the creators of this. So I've been, my mind's been going like, I need to put myself more in that position of where, even though live performances have been taken away, there's still a demand for my music, and so kind of getting more of that leverage, I think, has been where my mind's been a little more.
Sorry, that's bugging me like a lot.
It's okay. I get a lot of lint because of my dog. And I'm not going to stop hugging him. No. So I like hugging him, so he's good. What do you want to talk about today?
Well, I thought about like the few questions that we've gotten, here and there. I was thinking...
Oh, so this is like a Q&A.
Well, I took some out because we had already answered one last time, and like just, from like the topics that we've talked. But these are the questions that are left. So I don't know. I thought about that.
Let's do it. Yeah. Go for it. I haven't even read these yet, so I'm barely seeing them for the first time. The first
one is, how did we know we were the one for one another?
How did you know?
When you started talking about God.
Really?
Yeah. We started talking, and we shared everything, but then there was like that moment where you mentioned God, and you said something to, you said no matter how like you try to run away from God, it's just never going to happen.
That's still true to this day.
Yeah. And so when you said that, you made me think. And then I definitely knew you were the one when our relationship started like evolving, and, we started like talking more, and you kind of mentioned to me you had like fallen in love with me, and then you said, that this relationship is not going to work if God is not involved.
Right.
And then when you said that, I was like, that's it. That was the sign. That was the thing I was waiting for.
Who would have known? I tried all these other things to impress you, and that's the thing that impresses you the most.
Yep.
That's interesting. All right, mine goes a little different. I think I remember our first weekend together. I brought you out here in Phoenix, and you had to go back, and there was a couple of stuff that was happening, and I remember not wanting to let you go back. And I remember just going, you were talking, we were at the Jack in the Box here. I'm not cheap. It's just for some reason we went to Jack in the Box that weekend. Our first dinner together and our last dinner together that weekend was at Jack in the Box.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, it's crazy.
Because when we were heading over here on our way,
right from California.
Yeah, that's where we...
Jack in the Box is where we stopped. And you liked Jack in the Box, and I was like, okay, she's cool. She loves the tacos from Jack in the Box. Still do.
Yeah.
I feel like they changed a little bit, and they took off the monster tacos, so I'm really pissed about that. So I avoid Jack in the Box as much as I can now. Mm-hmm. But when they had the monster tacos and they were tasting really good, they were my favorite. But of course, I like them with chili, like normal people, with hot sauce. Her, on the other hand, she likes it with ketchup. Ketchup on the tostada part of the...
On the top part. And the inside.
And the inside.
Yeah.
Not hot sauce. Ketchup.
Yeah.
On a monster taco in Jack in the Box.
That's the best way to eat them.
Disgusting.
No.
Disgusting.
They taste good.
Her and her son both do that. Anyways. So,
and my sister.
And your sister does it too? I don't know.
Yeah.
I've never seen her eat tacos.
I wouldn't be surprised if my niece and nephew do the same thing.
I guess.
I don't know.
All right, so I remember that moment. We had to take you back. Well, I had to take you back to Cali, and I didn't want to. I didn't want to take you back. And I knew that was... I was like, this is not the last time I'm going to see you, and I want to see you like over and over and over and over. That's kind of when I knew, like, for me.
Oh, wow.
I mean, I knew I was in trouble the first dance we had on the first day of our date. But that's the moment I knew that, that's it. I had made up my mind. For sure. Here's a question. Do you believe in the one? This is my question to you. Do you believe there's this thing as a one? The one?
Well, I do and I don't. I think that it's hard to... Mm-hmm. I mean, it's kind of the same thing. Like, how did you know he was the one?
Well, I answered the question because I know the question, but is there such thing as the one?
Could be.
Yeah?
Yeah.
I don't think so.
No?
No. I think we decide what the one is for us. Of course, sometimes our decisions aren't smart, aren't wise. I
see it this way. I think that, like, for me, this was like when I met you and I liked you and I knew that I was falling for you. Like, I felt that this was like the first time that I had made that choice.
Right.
Like,
it's definitely a choice.
Yeah, but okay. So in previous relationships or like,
right.
It was more like, the other person was the one into me and, it was fine.
Right.
Like it's nice, it's nice to, not that you weren't into me, but I always felt like my thing was like, yeah, I'll give it a shot. Like, you never know, like give people a chance, for some reason, like, and that's not fair. Like for you to be with somebody because you want to give them a chance. Like you're supposed to know, like if you don't know, then don't even go there. Like, do you see what I'm saying?
Right.
But when you're young and you're thinking you're being nice and you're thinking like, you never know, like that can be the person. But see, at the same time, you're setting yourself up.
Right. And then you fall into comfort.
Yeah. Because then
what
yeah.
What's, what you're used to, because it becomes more like a friend.
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Yeah. And
I don't think there's one. I think there's a few that you can make a decisions depending on where your life is at. And each one, depending on which one you choose and which one you choose for each other, obviously it's not just one-sided, but whoever you choose for together, it goes through a path. I mean, each one has a path, Right. But ultimately, you're still your decision,
No, it is.
And you have to be okay with that decision.
Yeah, because I've heard of people that they say I was with the right person, with the one, and I lost that person. So it doesn't necessarily mean like, by any means that you're going to end up with the one,
Right.
So I guess it is a decision in the end of the day.
Of course.
Because
just like love.
Yeah, because you can find the one, but if it's up to you ultimately if you want to stay or not, or
right. There's a lot of people who have found that person that would definitely make their life complete and or what they're looking for, and they never know it. They don't look for it. They're either selfish, and they're just thinking about themselves. They're thinking about just a lot of superficial things, and I think they give up on what can work because of how things look. It's unfortunate. That's kind of like the society we live on now.
Right.
Everything's superficial. I want it to look good. I want it to be Instagrammable. Instagrammable relationship. # relationship goals. And you just kind of go, what's going on here? All right.
Right.
Next one. What's the next question?
The next question is, how are we supposed to know our purpose and know truly that is our purpose?
Oh man, what a question. Okay. It doesn't even say who you didn't put who said them?
No, I think I kind of remember, but
okay. So how are we supposed to know our purpose and know truly that is our purpose?
And know truly that is.
There's some people who from very early age their purpose. And there's some people who are always in search of their purpose. And I think search is not a bad thing.
No.
You can always, I'm a fortunate person to say that I think I was born knowing exactly what I was supposed to do, and how I get there and how I get there in purpose is totally up to me. I can decide, if I want to keep it like this or if I want to go and grow, if I want to continue going. There's different levels of where you can reach your potential. And I think, this is where, for us, God has played a big role Because knowing our purpose and knowing our way, because we can go so far, but God can take us even further in places and even ways that we don't imagine. For example, you and I know exactly what we love to do. Mm-hmm. But then there's different avenues to what we've learned in life that can even bring us together for a podcast, for example. Now, we never thought about sitting down, talking to a mic and speaking to our audience through audio or through video. Mm-hmm. But this is an extension of what our purpose, can be. So it kind of starts growing into when you start growing into your purpose. How you find your purpose, I say start with what you know, what you're very good at. Mm. Right? Start with that. Just something that's simple. I know some people, I can't sell you a car. Okay? I cannot sell you this laptop. I cannot sell you any of those phones. I'm just not a sell person. Mm-hmm. I will tell you the facts about them. I can tell you the details of what they are if I'm into it. But I cannot sell it to you. There's some people that can sell you anything. Mm-hmm. I mean, they'll come to your door and they'll sell you water with sugar. And they'll tell you it's a cleaning product. And they're so good at what they do that they sell it. I mean, and a lot of people don't think that's a gift, but I think that's a gift. Mm-hmm. It's a gift of communicating a certain way. Right. Now imagine being effective. And some people are good manipulators. I mean, part of being a sleazy salesman, I'm going to put sleazy in there because I just dealt with car dealers and I'm a little bitter. And so part of dealing with sleazy sellers is that they're good at manipulating people's minds. Now imagine if instead of manipulate, you can influence. If you can influence minds for something positive, if you can influence someone's mind to do great things, mm-hmm. to do inspiring things, to teach, to motivate, and I think there's a lot of people doing that now. Thank God for social media, that you see a lot of people who are influencing in the right way. There's influencers who do just vanity things, and there's people who are influencing amazing things. Mm-hmm. I can go on YouTube and I can find ways to do a certain thing thanks to influencers who love to teach and love to give their ideas out. I've learned to video edit because of the same reason. So those are all little things that you probably think that it has to be a certain way and you have to look. And I think you're overlooking things. You're overlooking your own little simple. You think it's simple. I think it's great. It's what makes you unique. Your way of making things. Your hands are unique, and what you do with your hands is unique. How you think in your brain, how you communicate to others is unique. What you can create out of that is unique. So I say start there. Yeah. Stop looking at what other people do and start looking at what you do, mm-hmm. and what you influence. Start realizing what is it that people call you for. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm saying? You probably have a friend that always calls. I don't know why this friend always calls me when they need something. You're probably a person who can get things done, mm-hmm. or probably a person that knows how to give. So there's something to that. Right. Do you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Or you're probably this person always calls me when they need comfort, and for some reason thinks I'm this shoulder to cry on. It's like maybe you're a strong person, and maybe you're just that person that knows how to put perspectives into people. Mm. What a great thing to influence on someone's mind. And if you could do it in a positive way, maybe you can influence and motivate and maybe put things into perspective for others. There's life coaches that do that, right? Right. They know how to put that in perspective to others. Or maybe you're a psychologist and you didn't even know it. Right. I mean, there's just so many things. Maybe you're good with your hands. Maybe you know how to. There's just something about your touch. You touch something and a flower grows. Others touch the same flower and it dies. I look at her because that's what happens to her. But you know what I'm saying? Like, they just have this magic touch with nature. Mm-hmm. And that's an amazing talent. Mm-hmm. Everyone has a gift. Everyone has a purpose. I think when you stop looking at other people's purposes and you look exactly what you can do, then with your talent and with what you have in your hand, you can develop that into your purpose. Mm-hmm. And what you're like. And then how that influences others, how that influences you, how that obviously eventually, if you want to make it maintain you. But I think start looking at yourself, at this, what you can do as something unique and something great, and a potential for a greater purpose in your life. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I agree. I think the same way. You know, I'm sure it's a thing where a lot of people question. And even when you are living out your purpose, sometimes you still have doubts and you still wonder, am I really doing what I'm supposed to be doing? Because I don't want to be wrong. I don't want to be wasting my time. I know I've gone to God with stuff like that, you know, where I'm like, God, you know, what is my purpose? Like, you know, I want it to be your will more than I want it to be whatever I want to be,
right,
or do whatever I want to do.
Right.
But then, you know, there's this thing that's called creativity. And that means that there's so many avenues to that.
Oh man, but people think creativity only applies to the arts.
Right.
And I think we're so creative in so many ways. I mean, we're sitting in a home that someone thought about putting together with wood and then putting AC in there, and then the way a home is designed. Think about that. And how we started, years ago, people lived in tents. Thousands of years ago, people lived in tents. Mm. I mean, how did it start progressing? Someone started getting creative in building homes.
Right.
And instead of buildings being just for buildings, for kings and for temples, and what about we just do that for individuals? Mm-hmm. Somebody come up with a great idea to build little buildings for
little
people
castles.
Little castles for people to live in. I mean, just something as simple as that. You don't think that's, you say, oh, that's just a handiwork. That's an architecture. That still takes creativity to think, to know, to design. Something as simple as a fridge. I'm looking at my fridge and I'm like, we have this box full of food that can be preserved for days, for weeks, maybe even, because it keeps it cool for you. Mm-hmm. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, these kind of stuff, these are creative. Someone sat down and thought about that stuff. That's creative.
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? And the way they designed the doors, not only that, you can even attach the water and the ice if you wanted to. That is creativity. They just putting it on a whole nother level.
Yeah.
And it's way beyond music. It's way beyond arts. It's way beyond entertainment or whatever. I think everyone's creative.
Yeah. And sometimes you have to just explore, you know, like I always think if we were to be a little bit more, and I did try like with my son, you know, to be more hands-on. Like I want my son to know what he's supposed to do, his purpose. And so I remember we would try different things. And I think I kind of share that, you know, with the parenting podcast that we did. How I wanted him to try a lot of different things for him to like get to know, like, you know, I'm not too excited about that. Like I knew when he was 2 years old, I knew that he was going to either be into computers or, I mean, and it's funny because I knew before, but I wasn't sure. But at 2 years old, this kid, he knew at that time there was what's it called, the
PC?
No, the DSL or whatever.
Oh yeah.
He knew about it, and he was like, I mean, I don't even know how at 2 years old, because I didn't even know.
Connection?
Yeah, I didn't even know how that was, or I had no clue whatsoever. But anyways, and he talked about it like he understood this language of like the computer and how it worked, and anyways, long story short, so sometimes if us as parents or, you know, as friends, or if we can like, you know, kind of cultivate that in people, like,
yeah, and your kids,
yeah, I mean, encourage them to explore, like try that. If you don't like it, then you know that that's not where you should go, and then try something else. Try photography, try, you know, like there's so many things, like art, just bunch of stuff, you know, like even take them to the museums, you know, and right there they'll know. Like I remember we would go to the section where all the scientific stuff would be, or like all the where they would show how the little cheeks were born and the little eggs, and they were all warmed up.
Oh,
and
chicks.
Yeah, like you get to know what they like. You get to know, if it, like Joy, I knew exactly he would like, oh, that's cute, Mom, and then he would walk away. Like that, I knew that wasn't his thing.
Agriculture wasn't his thing.
Yeah, and there was, and although he at some point he was like a tree hugger, I was like, is this kid gonna like be?
And that's not a bad thing either.
No, but he was very passionate about that.
Right.
So, but I mean, it helps to just try to encourage people, like, like go find out, like. Even filming and like, how we always talk about film and all that stuff. That's kind of like something we love a lot.
We do, yeah. We got to get more into that.
Yeah, and then there's nothing wrong with that, like to have different things. And I think along the way, you find your purpose. You do certain stuff and you enjoy it, and then I think eventually you will get to your purpose. That's kind of what I think.
Yeah, good one. I like that. Let's go to the next question.
Okay.
How many questions are there?
How did you two meet God?
You go.
Oh boy, I don't want to make it too long because honestly, when it's about God, I
know. Go for it.
I was 21. I just turned 21.
Last year. Just kidding.
Just a few years ago. And
I was trying to help you, baby.
Thank you. And I was really at this time, like when I was little, I used to like read. I don't know if I kind of mentioned that my mom, she was a Catholic, and we would go to church, and I had a very it was not a nice experience per se. So I kind of had like shied away from religion. I didn't really want to get to it. It was so confusing to me, but I always knew that there was a God, and I always knew that Jesus was going to be a part of my life really early on, when I would start reading the Bible that, my mom bought. She bought like this whole children's Bible, and I would read it every so often, not all the time, but every time I would read it, I was like, I knew something was happening, and my heart was just start beating really fast. And obviously, because there's life in it, and there's so much truth in it. So I knew that I was connected to God somehow, but I just didn't, I was very young, very little, and I couldn't like perceive exactly what was taking place or what was happening. But I knew there was a God really early on, but when I really met him, I was 21. I said, by this time, a lot of things had happened. I had gone through, like so many things.
Right. And
so I was in a place where I was like, okay, I need to know, are you for real? Or like, are you just like this, this person that people have made up, and they make you look like, they make you sound grand, and they make you, they talk about you like this, but who are you really? Like, if you are real, then I want to know you. Like, I really want to know you. I want to, and it started because I started questioning my purpose and life and a lot of things. Like, I was like, why am I here? Like, it was almost like this one time you wake up and you're like, wait a minute.
It's a journey that a lot of people go through.
Yeah. You start questioning things, and you start realizing, like, what do I stand for? What do I believe in? And, by 21, I had done a lot of things, like, 21's already, like,
Right.
So, and instead of, really being eager to like go and like, oh, finally I can go drink and I can, I was honestly, it was like a decision that I had to make, that I knew at that moment. I was like, it's either I'm going to go downhill because now I feel like I'm 21 and I can do anything and everything I want, or I can really like find like my purpose, or why am I here? Why am I even alive, kind of thing. And so I remember being like it was such a like not sweet talk or prayer to God. It was nothing like that. It was more like, okay, who are you? Then, kind of thing like that. And the first impulse was to read the Bible, to start reading the Bible. And
did you have a Bible by then?
I did.
The same Bible as your mom? Or
No. At that time, since I was, so-called Catholic, I had done like my Sweet 16, and at that time you pick like a godmother, and that's what they call it. And she had given me a Bible, and so I just kept it, but it just for like years and years and years it just collected dust.
Yeah, it was just a decoration.
Yeah,
yes.
yeah. So I
Did you even display it?
No, it was like somewhere in my drawer in between, like with all my books.
Yeah.
Yeah. So finally, I got it. I started reading it, and at first I was so lost. I was like, "What am I reading? This is half of it sounds so scary," and I was scared. There was times I was scared, and then I couldn't put it down though. I wanted to know more. Like I really, truly wanted to know who God was, and I want to say I locked myself like for 2 weeks in my house. I didn't do anything. I was determined to like
quarantine yourself.
Yeah, for real. I wanted to know who God was, and I just remember like I think it was my doggy. I had my dog and me, and I would read the Bible aloud, and as I would read it more, it became alive, and it became so real. And I started like I would go to sleep at night, and like things were happening. I can tell, like it was so weird how things were. It's almost like you were having surgery, like when you go get surgery at a hospital or whatever. And I started feeling that way. I started feeling like, I was like my heart and my soul and things were getting repaired, and they were becoming clean and white. And I remember reading in the Bible that He will like clean you and leave you as white as snow, and just a lot of little things that I would start reading. I was like, that's how I feel, And so there was a lot of those moments where I was like, wow, like it's so cool how you just start. So basically, I met God through His Word like that. Like, before that I had heard about Him, like I said, and then a few friends when I was like 16, 18, they would like kind of like just say, hey, are you saved? And I was like, what do you mean am I saved? Like, yeah, I'm saved. They're like, no, do you know, like, Jesus, is He your God? Yeah, He's my God. But I was not prepared. Obviously, I was not ready. I was not willing to. You know how it is sometimes that pride kicks in. You don't want to let people know that you were at wrong, or that you were following the wrong religion,
or that you don't know.
Yeah. So I did that. I'm like, what? I know who God is. Yeah, right. I really didn't.
Sure.
I heard of Him, but I didn't know Him. So that was the best time ever. Like those weeks, and then there was a time where 3 days in a row, like I don't think I slept. I read the Bible, and I fell in love. I fell in love with Jesus. I fell in love with like, knowing that I can have a best friend. It was amazing, and I will never forget that experience. Like I literally started like knowing Him like for real, and that's when I knew He was real.
Do you have a verse that reminds you from that moment?
No.
I just threw you a curveball. Sorry.
Yeah. No, there was, I know that I did, like, and it's funny because, there's so many.
Yeah.
There's so many, but I do know that one that helped me out a lot was Psalms 91, because I did have a lot of fear in the beginning. I was coming from a place where, I don't want to get into that, but I was told, very early on that the devil was going to take me, that, like really ugly, by my mother. She was like, the devil's going to take you, and, you're not doing what I'm telling you to do. And so she put this fear on me, like really. I was just a little girl. And so at nights I would have like nightmares and sweat. And I basically at some point, just to kind of like deal with my fear, I gave in. And I started having dreams that I was traveling, like that the devil would come in a boat, a flying boat, and I would hop on just so then he can leave me alone. And I would hop on, and we would start traveling, like, yeah. And I did it because I was so terrified, and I would wake up like sweating and just really, really scared. And
Up until you're 21, this still happened?
I had a lot of fear. Like there was times at night, you know, and I do believe my mom opened, and I don't want to sound like a crazy woman here, but I do believe my mom opened like some weird stuff, some weird like spirit portal, or I don't even know how to like, I mean, now I know that there is like a spiritual realm that we don't know. We know that there is one, but we can't see it.
Right.
So, but I do believe that my mom, with her words telling me and how she would say it, and with anger, and like, she doesn't know like the harm that she did, you know? That's why I'm so big on like, do not speak things that you don't mean, or do not speak on anger. And, you know, because I know what it did to me. You know, you're talking about, I grew up with so much fears, like from like 8 years old up until like, you know, up until my 20s. Because even when I did know God in the beginning, don't think like everything disappeared and it was just like magic. And
right.
No, there was a process, and I had to learn how to trust God and see like
in the process.
Yeah, in the process.
Right.
You know, it's just things didn't happen that way. You know, some people think like, oh, you know, if I come to God, he's going to change me so rapidly and so quickly that I'm going to lose who I am. And that's not true.
Right.
That's not how God works. You know, God works, you know, through he is so gentle about everything.
Well, it's just like the idea of when people get a personal trainer, their fat's going to be lost.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm like, no, there's a process.
Yeah.
And, you know, you made a decision to have somebody get you accountable to what you're doing in your actions and showing you a way. But now starts the hard process of reversing all those years of bad habits, reversing all those years of, you know, lack of motivation, lack of exercise, lack of eating right, lack of, you know, discipline. So now you have to reverse that, and that becomes a hard process. And God is, when you come into a relationship with God, it's kind of the same way.
Yeah.
You know, and it's mirrored in a lot of ways in a relationship with human beings. Any relationship that's good and worth it takes time and effort. Mm-hmm. You know, our relationship, we're going on 11 years this year, and our relationship has been a lot of work and sacrifice, but we both believe in what we have, and we work on it, and it's worth it at the end. And so our relationship with God is the same way with us. See, this is not a foreign language to him, you know? And so our relationship with God, it becomes a process. So it's like, okay, you trust me. So to trust me, I have to put you to the test where you're going to have to trust me. You know what I'm saying? You want patience? I'm going to have to put you through tests where you're going to have to practice patience.
Yeah.
You want to love instead of hate? I'm going to put you through the process of learning to love, when hate is the most immediate, knowing, easy route to get to, you know? And so that's kind of how it works.
Well, and then especially for me, like I was coming from a place where as a little girl, all I knew was my parents, right? And mainly my mom. You know, my dad would just get up in the morning, leave, and I wouldn't see him till like nighttime. So my dad was like really not in the picture. I mean, he was, you know, thank God I always had my family, my parents together.
Right,
but
he was busy.
Yeah.
It's a very typical thing in that era of Latinos too, to just, you know, be so, they would drown themselves in work to not really deal with life at home.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah, that's not, you know.
So staying home with my mom, or my mom being my, you know, what my parent, my guardian, my sole provider per se, she didn't give me everything like that I needed as a provider. Like, she was not loving, she was not kind, she was, you know, always beating on me. And so I couldn't understand how my own mom was that way with me. If my mom, that was my mom, treated me and rejected me and hated me, how is it that anybody else can?
Right.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like, so there was no trust.
Right.
Like, I didn't trust her. I started questioning a lot of things. And so when I did come to God at 21, it was hard for me to just trust.
Right.
And it especially because God is when I started reading, like, he's our father to the fatherless. He's our, like, that means that he will be that parent that you never had. But I was like, can it be that I'll finally find that parent that I've always wanted in him? But it was hard for me to trust him because I didn't know how to do that. I didn't know any better. I didn't know how to go about it. So therefore, the process became, a little hard for me. But there was obviously a point where I surrender. I did. I said, God, I surrender everything in me. I surrender the daughter in me. I surrender everything that the person in me, the daughter in me, like everything, every kind of, and I just said, I want to trust you. Like, I want to have that. Because I never had that. I never used to really trust anyone up until that time that I was 21. But anyways, that's how I met God.
Wow. That's awesome. All right.
How about you?
Oh, my turn. I don't have an elaborate story like that. I mean, I was born into a Christian home. My parents got to know God before I even was even a thought. And so at an early age, just listening to God and listening to the Word. I was 5 years old. And I remember telling my mom that I had made the prayer. The pastor had made the prayer for those who need to receive God. So I remember making the prayer and telling my mom, I did the prayer. I want to go up there. I want to get prayed for. So I was very young. So and cute. I think ever since then, God has had a hold of my life, even though, like we talked about earlier, I wanted to forget about everything and just be myself, be my own man. And at the end of it all, I think I would always run back to him, knowing that, he's that strong tower I needed to run back to and find shelter in and find my purpose in and find my voice and find who I was back again. And so that's kind of always been my back and forth with God, and I think my last back and forth was when I found you. And we both started going back, we were both in the back and forth and we started going back. But God, I got to know God at a very early age and I'm grateful for it. It's a different journey, than most people, but God knows what he's doing for sure.
I agree.
All right, next one.
The next question is, do you guys ever not get mad?
So that means we're always mad?
No.
Yes, we're always mad. I'm pretty pissed right now.
No, I think that was more like for us.
Do you guys ever not get mad?
Like me and you, our relationship.
No, but the question says, do you guys ever not get mad? That means we're always mad. So are you guys ever not mad?
Right. But when she asked me this, she's like, I want to know, because this one was a question in person.
So what's the question? Do you guys ever get mad?
Do you guys ever get mad at each other? But I didn't write
but never not get mad?
Yeah. Do you guys ever not get mad at each other?
We never not get mad. We're always mad, pissed. I hate it.
I guess that was the question, that they think that we never get mad, and we would get mad a lot.
Oh, yes, we do. Yeah. We disagree.
We just don't act upon it because
we're two very strong, opinionated people.
Yes, we are.
We have we definitely disagree. We're not going to record our disagreements.
Right.
And then I have a thing too, that I don't like fighting in public.
Yeah.
That's a big thing for me.
Yeah. And
then if I go to work, I'd rather leave what we had discussing at home. And then as soon as we shut those doors in the car, we're right back at it.
Yeah.
Just so you know. But yes, we do get mad.
Yes, we do.
We're human beings, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
Tell me a relationship that doesn't get mad, and I'll tell you how long it's going to last.
I do have to say something, though. Like, you are better at, like, not staying mad as long. I do. I get mad and I can't let go. And you're very, like, you get mad and then, like, I want to say 20 minutes and you're good. And you're like, baby. And I'm, like, looking at you like, are you crazy, man? You're supposed to be mad at me.
So I have this thing, but I started this very young. I remember, because I used to be a hothead when I was a teenager. Yeah, so I was a kid, I had like anger issues. There's just a lot of anger issues I had. I think it's just some issues with parents, And so I think I would realize, I forgot, I remember distinctly one time fighting with my friend, and it was over. I was very passionate about music, like I still am, and then they weren't taking music serious. I was. And whenever it became rehearsing, you know, girls came secondary. And so, you know, my friends didn't think like that. And so I remember getting pretty heated with a friend of mine who was like my best friend, like a brother, you know? And I remember just seeing stuff like that and realizing, you know, I was going, why am I getting so mad? Like, what is this? What is this energy? Because, you know, you portray a lot of energy when you get mad. And the energy, you know, I don't like working out, but it almost feels like you worked out after you've gotten so angry. Especially, you know, have you ever gotten like ridiculously angry where you feel so tired from being so angry? Because you just wasted a lot of energy. And so I'm like, I hardly like working out, and I'm wasting energy on something so stupid. And the only energy I actually enjoy giving is when I'm being creative. When I'm playing, when I'm performing, I'll give it all, and I'm sweating, and I'm so. Yeah. But I like that kind of energy. You know, I put it.
So you want to save like your creative juices for that?
It's like, not. It's just not that. It's just for me. It's like, is it worth it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying? Is it worth? You know, okay, we you know, and you and I get in discussions, and you know, we've gotten into some heated discussions. But I go, okay, that happened. It's done. Like,
yeah, but you're.
Is
good
it
at
worth?
That.
Is it worth holding on to it? Because the more you hold on to it, the more energy you're cooped up. And I'm like, I got stuff to do.
Yeah.
I don't have time. That's just my mentality.
But I love that. I love that you can do that. I can't. Sometimes I try so hard. I'm like, oh, how does he do it? Like, I'm still mad no matter what. and then I realize, like, you know, I try to cool down, and I see your attitude. Like, I see you like wanting to get over it. Like, let's move on, babe. Like, don't dwell on that.
Yeah, it's a mental thing. I mean, obviously, sometimes it's hard when it's I want to stick my ground or whatever. And then sometimes I'm like, okay, no, is it worth it? Yeah. Like, is it just worth me holding on to this anger for what? Yeah. I was right. Of what? Something stupid?
Yeah. Yeah, but definitely that the question, we do get mad, but Stan's better at that than I am. Okay. The next question. On episode 7, we talked about learning to be alone, enjoying time alone, even going to the movies. I was always pushed away in my previous relationships to do that. So that's not something I want for myself anymore. I want someone to be with me. Is that selfish of me?
Of course not. I don't think it's selfish. I think what can be unhealthy, like, maybe in that moment, like, you know, okay, like, I'm always by myself and there's nothing, you know, there has to be a balance, right? So I'm assuming this person has someone?
Yeah.
Okay. So there has to be a balance. Like, if I'm always doing things by myself and I'm never hanging out with you, something's wrong. Right?
Right, yeah.
And if we're always like in each other's back, always in each other's back, and then not giving you our space to like breathe and think and, like, you know, like eventually come together. This has nothing to do with like leaving the house or nothing. Like, you can even be like in your own room or in the yard or something, just something to space out a little bit. Yeah. And give each other space and do some activity. Maybe you go shopping, he goes and hangs out by himself, you know, somewhere, just to like, just, you know, clear things out or whatever. I get it. There's always a balance, but if it's too much of one or the other, I think it's bad, you know? And
yeah.
Like, if you're craving company because you don't have it, then you're not in you're not in a relationship with someone. I have no idea.
Well, they don't want to do things alone. That's the thing. Like,
at all.
If I have somebody, right? If I have somebody, I don't want to do, like, I don't enjoy time alone. I was already rejected many times in the past. That's kind of like what I feel.
Okay.
So this
I
person,
guess I didn't understand the question.
Yeah, this person like doesn't want to be alone, like
at all.
Like, no, because she's saying,
that's a she.
If I'm with someone, I want to be with that person, you know,
all the time.
Yeah, like, why am I together with somebody if I'm going to be by myself?
Hey, if he's agreeable to it, why not? I mean, there's personalities like that, right?
That's true.
Personalities. Not all people are super dependent, and not all people are super independent.
That is so true.
And so I think
it depends on the significant. It depends on the relationship that you have, like the agreement that you have with your significant other.
Right.
I think if that person is okay and enjoys your company just as much and like wants to be with you 24/7, then that's great. If
we
it
have an
works-
agreement. I'm not going to walk at Home Goods with her
Right.
because that place sucks.
Although you have.
I have, but it sucks.
Yeah.
And I don't like it. And it's just like, I'm there going, and she goes, no, I need you to come with me. And I go, no, you don't need me nothing. You just want me to stand there.
I think,
Like
I
a
think you
dummy.
get scared. I think you get scared that I'm going to like fill my cart because
No. Because I have no problem if you fill a cart. As long as I'm not there, why do I have to be there? That's the whole
Because
thing.
I don't like sometimes spending money without you. Like, I feel like, because you're so cool about it. You're like, yeah, just get it. And I'm like, babe, what do you think? Get it. Like, I don't even finish telling you. You're like, get it. I don't know if it's for you
'Cause I
to
wanna
just,
get out of there.
right. I don't know if it's that or what, but I love that. But no,
I just want to get out of there. That's
no,
really
but
weird.
it's true. Like, I totally respect that. You know, it's kind of like
Yeah.
when you go to like Best Buy. I'm like, baby, you go.
I go to Best Buy because the closest to Joanne. Really, I just want to go home.
No, but I know Best Buy is something you like. Guitar Center, Best Buy. There's
Yeah.
certain stores that
Yeah.
you like that.
Well, I mean,
can-
it's passable. They're passable.
Yeah.
I'd rather be home, do stuff.
Right.
Yeah. But since
right now?
I've driven this far and I've taken you.
But right now, you wish you can be in Best Buy.
No,
No?
not really. No,
Oh, it's
no, because
nice.
I can look at it. I can look it up online and just order it.
That's true.
My discussion with you was like, why can't you order this again?
Okay, so
All right.
you want to move on?
Yeah. By the way, we're like the least Amazon buyers ever. She likes to make sure everything looks, especially for decorations. She has to touch it and feel it,
Yeah.
and visualize it and see if it's the right size, the right
Yeah.
weight.
Yeah.
I go, they put that description on things. She goes, no, it's not the same. So,
For me, it's not.
No.
Sorry. I have to look at it. I have to
and then
touch it.
I don't buy
have to see
Amazon
the
because I don't
quality.
find it as cheap as people think it is. Like sometimes I go, dude, that's not cheap.
Oh, I don't know.
Especially all the stuff I like to buy, which is like gear.
How about Joey? Our
Yeah,
son?
he's always finding things.
I don't know how he does it. And he finds good quality stuff too, where I'm like,
Sometimes.
where'd
Sometimes, no.
that's true, because when it hasn't, like, I don't even see it ever again. I just see it in the pile of
No,
like
he is a king of
Goodwill.
return. He is a king of returns too.
No, or Goodwill.
Oh, yeah, that's
How
right.
about like all this amazing, nice clothes that we used to buy, and then I would see it in a bag. Like, I'm like, what the heck? I know that didn't cost us $5.
Special.
Yeah, so he's like that. But anyways, let's not get off. So it's not selfish of you if that's an agreement that
Correct.
that
Yeah.
you both made.
Yeah, don't feel bad. I mean, both of you guys come to an agreement. Obviously, if you're leaning always towards something you like to go, make sure you go somewhere where he likes to go too.
Yeah,
Right? I think that's a good compromise.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
I mean,
next.
for the most part, we're always doing stuff together.
Yeah.
I mean, that's probably the only time we do stuff like differently.
I agree. Like and then there's those times that I'll tell you like, oh, I'm gonna go shopping. Like when
Yeah.
I do,
Yeah.
but I think for the most part,
Yeah, we always
and I
hang out.
don't. Yeah, and I don't.
You're my
mind.
buddy.
Yeah, I don't. I like it. I know. There's people that think
What I've
we're
been trying to
always
do
together.
is if we could bring our puppies together, that'd be even better.
But they don't.
I'm always trying to find a way to bring our dogs everywhere.
Yeah, it's not possible, baby. There's a lot of places that don't agree. Okay, let's go to the next one.
They suck.
So, since you two are Christians or believers of God, do you believe in celebrating pagan holidays?
What's a pagan holiday? They're all pagan holidays.
Well, that's what I guess.
Pretty much, right?
Halloween and Christmas, everything, all the holidays.
Right. So, let me see. How do we view this?
I'll tell you how I view it. Real simple.
Go for it.
Not even long.
Go.
I celebrate every day because every day God made. And when I wake up in the morning, I'm like, you know what? I have a choice to make here. Like I can either like be thankful, be grateful for this day, like to celebrate, the fact that I'm given another day of life.
Right.
Or, just, whatever, like be like whatever.
Yeah.
But and I think we've talked about holidays before, how we're not very...
Not here. I don't think so.
No? Well, I think we were talking about the traditional thing of
Oh,
it. Yeah. So, but I mean, for the most part, I think I don't look at it as like, oh, I'm celebrating, Halloween, so I'm disrespecting God, or I'm celebrating Christmas. I really don't see it that way. I know a lot of people do, like especially for Halloween as Christians. They automatically think like, why would you celebrate that day? That day, a lot of people worship the devil, or like, there's just so many things happening. And to me, it's like, in the end of the day, it's like, where's your heart at? You know, is your heart and your spirit and your soul placed in God, or is it, you know, are you doubtful that day? Are you thinking like, oh, am I worshiping somebody else? Like, if that's in your head, then don't do it. Then I don't recommend it for you to do it. But if you're a believer and you're confident and you know that God is bigger than that, like, you know, unless God were to like speak to my heart and say, no, I don't want you to do that. I don't want you to celebrate that day or that holiday, or I'd probably like really pray on it, because in the end of the day, it's up to him. But I find it hard for me to, I don't see how it can just be evil unless I make it evil. I choose. We all have choices, you know? Every day, not just on holidays, every day we can make that choice of being a bad person or being, you know, trying our best to be good. You know, it doesn't require for me to have to, you know, oh, October 31st is coming, so now I'm gonna decide to be, you know, evil or creepy or whatever, because that's what people do. It's like, it can be any given day.
Right.
You have choices every day, every morning. Do you see what I'm saying?
Correct.
So that's how I view it. That's how I see it. I know a lot of people might disagree, and that's fine. Maybe, like I said, maybe for you, it's a stumbling block. You know, sometimes it can be, and I've thought about that too. I'm like, what if I'm causing a lot of my brothers and sisters in Christ to like, you know, to feel that way, or to stumble, or to like, you know, and I have prayed about it. I said, God, if it's something, I know last year I was having like, kind of like, you know, because something somebody said to me, and I really wanted to put it in prayer. And I almost said like, well, if it's becoming like a stumbling block for somebody, I probably shouldn't do it. But then I'm like, but what about like the joy of like everything, like what I stand for when it comes to Halloween? Like, what do I like to do? I like to, you know, just put something really nice, like decorate really nice. And I love seeing kids and like laughter, and they're all like dressed up. And to me, it kind of reminds me of like little Disneyland for some reason, you know? And I look forward to all the Disney characters more so than I can care less about the scary ones. But of course, you know, you have to be realistic. There's going to be some scary ones, you know? But that's just the way I view it. Like, I enjoy it. I love it because, you know, I love to see people happy and smiling, and, you know, like I loved when people were taking pictures of our setup. Like, yeah. Like I was like real happy, like for real. That makes me happy. It makes me feel like that's awesome. Like the whole family would get together and ask us, right? Like
we had a whole setup for last Halloween.
Yeah.
Because we weren't doing a podcast. So
right. Yeah.
You did a whole Jack Skeleton and Sally.
Yeah.
So the whole Nightmare Before Christmas setup with Zero.
Yeah.
On the top, and you did like this whole thing. So it was like people were stopping by. It kind of always happens. Every Halloween we do something different. This time we had a whole display of Jack and Sally, and it was like the whole Nightmare Before Christmas. And check out her Instagram if you want to go see videos. You have it on Instagram, right? Mm-hmm. So check it out, DandyThingz with a Z at the end. And so we know we have a display, and what's kind of cool is that like our front neighbor was alone that day. Our good neighbor Dave. Hello, Dave.
Yeah.
You've seen that? Mm-hmm. We love Dave. He's like family to us. And he was alone for Halloween. Mm-hmm. So he came by, and you know we hung out. We had some beers, and we were giving out candy, and it's just a cool way to see the community come together. I feel like I get where people come from, you know, and if you start looking at it like that, just start looking at everything like that. Mm-hmm. Or you can see it like, you know what, everyone's coming together to celebrate something maybe as simple as just giving out candy, which is what we do. We like a display, come hang out. She loves Nightmare Before Christmas, her favorite movie, put a display of that. And then we have candy, and we meet people. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, what better way to meet your neighbors that sometimes you don't even get to say hi to sometimes. Mm-hmm. And you don't get to see the kids and the dogs. And that was my favorite part, seeing the dogs. My dogs were out there barking at everybody, thinking they were bigger dogs. Anyways, so I think what better opportunity than for you to be part of your community than to talk? Being isolated sometimes and being right in your own mind and what you think is right and you not knowing your neighbor makes you just, an isolation and an island of yourself. But really what we're called to do, if you're a person that follows God, you're called to go out. You're called to go out and meet others, and to go out and meet others and be a light. You can't be a light in your house by yourself, isolated from the world, because everybody's pagan.
In the dark.
Yeah, because everybody's pagan. Right. You have to be a light where there's darkness. That's the whole point. I don't shine my light when there's a lot of light. It'd be dumb if I turn on my flash right now with the 3 soft boxes that we have on display. I turn on my light where it's darkness, when I can't see anything. And that's where you're supposed to place yourself. Place yourself in a place of darkness. If it's dark out there and people are celebrating pagan things and doing weird things, shine a light on them. Plain and simple. Yes, Jesus wasn't born on December 25th, but we take the opportunity to celebrate and remember his birth. It's not religious for us. I mean, for us, it's not. We understand that it's also a celebration that the world does together. So we participate. Another way to give, to make dinner for our friends, make dinner for our family, come together and just remember. And then at the same time, we also take a moment just to remember the birth and that miraculous way of God connecting with humanity, which I think is an amazing thing to remember. Was it in that day? No. If Christmas taken away, does that make things different? No.
Right.
You can choose any day to celebrate. Like my wife says, I've never been big on holidays, and they're not have-tos for me. But if you can participate and do it, and if you're not seeing it from like, oh, the world is wrong, they're pagan, and I feel like you're missing out on the important thing, which is a sense of community and bringing yourself to get out of the isolation. And if maybe just by you being there, you're shining a light, shining love, and just being cool, man. Just chill. Just chill a little bit. Don't be so tight. Feel. Obviously, don't go to a child sacrificial party or something.
Yeah,
I mean, now we're talking about extremes, but create an environment of safe, of celebration, of harvesting, maybe, of community, of laughter, of joy, of giving. Think about it like that. Others are thinking about it like satanic or evil or paganism or whatever you want to call it. But you bring a different light to that.
Yeah.
I think it depends. You create your environment.
Yeah, it depends where you're at too. Like if you are fear, like if you have fear, you're scared. Like, oh, if I celebrate that, God is gonna get mad at me, or I'm not gonna look good in front of my Christian friends. Then don't do it, because that tells me where you're at.
Right.
That's the way I see it, and
yeah, true.
And I understand.
That's true.
I do. People are so judgmental. Like, and if you're the type of person that gets offended by that, then that's another sign that that you're living more by the flesh than by the spirit, because the spirit constantly tells you just let go, just forgive, don't get offended, understand you were there too, because I try to always go back to in the beginning of like my walk with God. At first I was very religious. I became religious, and God had to show me like, okay, I love that you're learning, but that to me is religion. That's not relationship. So, right. You have to start learning how to define one from another, but it happens through time and through process, So I don't get offended when people try to, like, even the questions, it's fine. It's understandable. Like, there is people that they question things like that.
Right.
And that's fine.
True. True. All right, let's move on. What's the next one?
The next one, I say, I like the way you guys talk about God. Do you ever get ashamed or mocked by believing or talking about him? It's a lot of God questions.
I guess we do talk a lot about God in podcasts.
I don't get ashamed, and we have gotten people that say, oh, you guys talk a lot about God, or we're not into that, and like it kind of what I just said right now. It boils down to that. We don't get offended. We don't need to defend God. God is God Almighty. Mm-hmm. And, we understand like the process that you're in, or probably the fact that you don't want to know who God is, but I can't be ashamed. Like I can never say it. Like, even for me to say things about how great he is, like it's I feel like I can never, like, I don't want to boast about his love, like it's more like I can boast about his love for me because I know who God is.
You do want to boast about his love.
But do you know what I'm saying? Like, I want to, I want to boast about his love towards me.
No, because you said earlier, I don't want to boast about
okay.
his love.
Yeah, no, I mean,
you do want to boast about his love
towards me.
You don't want to boast about your love.
My love to him, yeah. Because it's not even like, how can I even like put it in words? Like, it is not even enough, So I can never be ashamed of something like that. Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, he's so amazing and so loving and so gracious that no, I can't. I will. How can I even be ashamed of something like that?
Yeah.
To know that someone loves me like that.
Yeah.
And yes, I can get mocked, and I think it's part of it. I think even my family in the beginning, like when I became saved and I became a believer, and they would make fun of me, and they would like run away from me. And up to this day, I still probably have family that things were never the same again, because they they're in their own thing, and that's fine too. I still pray for them. I still always think about them and everything, but again, it doesn't get to me. It doesn't do anything to me. I don't let it get to me. I'm like, I can. Just kind of what I said. I can't get offended, because if I get offended, that means that I'm still holding on to the flesh, to what I feel, and not to what God tells me, to live by grace, live by, the Spirit, I always say, love conquers all. Love is just, let love just be the answer to everything. Decide to love, even when somebody's being, mean to you, or when somebody makes fun of you. And I'm sure we get people like, oh, there they go again, talking about God. And you know what? That's who we are. That I am not gonna like stop just so then you can like, if you don't feel like this is for you, or you don't want to hear about God, then maybe it's just not for you, But I'm not gonna change who I am, and just because I want to get more people to listen to me, or no,
right?
Like, do you see what I'm saying? Like, there is going to be those, maybe a few that are going to want to hear us talking about God, and that's fine. It's not about that, When it comes to God, it's just, I'm sorry, God is first, and no, I'm not sorry. What am I saying? God is first, and I am not ashamed, and if I get mocked, I get mocked. It's all part of it.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. So, and that was our last question.
All right. Well, thank you for the questions.
Yeah, they were cool. You keep sending us question, guys. This
is kind of like our Q&A podcast.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's different. I like that. I didn't expect that. Thank you for that. Thank you for listening. I appreciate everybody who has been listening. And I'm sorry that we haven't been posting as much as probably we should.
I know. We honestly, we've been so like just chilling. and then Stan's been working a lot on his on his songs, and I sometimes don't want to like kill the groove, because he's on a roll and he's like doing his thing, and for the most part he gets really creative in the night times, and that's when we usually do podcasts. So
right.
So
for the most part,
yeah. So sometimes I'm like, you know what, tomorrow.
Yeah.
And so we get caught up with that, and then just
we have to be a little better with that.
Yeah.
I know that we do, and so
Yeah,
But
we'll
just
be
know
making
that
it up. We'll be making it up real soon.
you're right. Just
Yeah.
know that we're with you guys in this whole thing. I hope you guys are staying safe.
Yes.
Make sure you subscribe and follow our podcast, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on
Yes.
Anchor FM, whether it's on Spotify, whether it's on Apple Podcasts. Thank you guys for doing that. Keep showing us love.
Yes.
Any questions you have, please send it to us.
Yeah.
We have Instagram,
Yeah.
On Purpose Talk. We have Facebook, On Purpose Talk.
Yes.
We have Twitter, Purpose Talk.
Follow us, guys, because we're gonna have a really cool summer giveaway.
Okay, summer
Yeah.
giveaway coming up. By the way, someone won an Easter. 2 people won Easter's giveaway, and they were really nice, and they got to enjoy it for Easter. So that was
Yeah.
kind of cool.
Yeah.
So those who didn't respond missed out. Just know,
Yeah.
whenever she wants to give a giveaway, she really goes out and gives away.
Yeah. The next one's gonna be really, really cool.
Let us know if you like the shirts.
Yeah. Let us know if you guys are.
We're
gonna,
trying out merch. See if we can sell some merch on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, and if not, we have a lot of T-shirts.
So, stick around. Thank you guys for sticking around, I guess.
Yeah.
Staying
Yeah,
this
and
far.
see you guys on the next episode.
Peace.
Peace.